Monday, May 11th, and we only have a couple weeks of school left. Can you believe it? I certainly cannot. Who knew, if you had asked me at the beginning of the school year, if we were going to finish out our school year like this, I would say, what? You are crazy. We are not. But nevertheless, here we are. So we only have a couple weeks of school, and guess what? Next year, you'll get to be right here in my homeroom class, and I'm super excited about seeing you all again. Hopefully you're doing well. I've been praying for you, and you're staying healthy, and probably getting bored to death at home, right? Hopefully not. I've gotten a lot of projects done around my house, so that have been needing to get done. Planted flowers, just relaxing time. So hopefully you are finding ways to enjoy yourself as well. It's getting warmer outside, so that's nice. Go for walks, get outside, ride your bike, whatever you need to do like that to keep yourself sane. But most importantly, I hope you are doing your schoolwork, okay? Several of you have, most all of you have been turning things in. But some of you, I have not seen one thing, so hopefully you get going on this, okay? Let's see, we are going to start off on page 241. I am going to let you know that we are not going to make it to Unit 12. I know you guys are so bummed out about that, right? But I don't think we're going to be able to make it to Unit 12. I think we're just going to finish out this unit, and we're going to study, and we're going to take our last test, and that will be like your exam. And then next year, maybe when you come to my class, we'll start with Unit 12, so you can get that, which I think we need to start with prepositions anyways. So, page 241, now we are kind of starting a review over our adjectives. So, adverbs. All right, so page 241, think A. It says, draw parentheses around each prepositional phrase in the following sentences. Above each phrase, write ADJ if it's used as an adjective, and ADB if it is used as an adverb. Then, underline the verb 2 times and the subject 1 time, and label the complements. Wow, this has a lot to do, right? Now, let's review a little bit first. So turn back to page 234, because we're going to review just really quickly before we do this exercise how to tell if a phrase is an adjective or an adverb phrase. Page 234, there's a yellow box. We already talked about this in great detail, but as a way of review, turn there and follow along with me. So if it is an adjective phrase, number 1, first and foremost, adjectives modify. What do they modify? I know all of you are raising your hand. Mrs. Hahn, I want to answer. All right, well, I have to only pick one. There's just so many hands up in this room. Who should I pick? Heather, I haven't heard from you. Heather, you can answer this. What do adjectives modify? If you said nouns and pronouns, you are correct. Remember, they also answer questions. What questions do adjectives answer? Let's say them together. Ready? What kind? Which one? How many? How much? Whose? All right? That's the most important 2 things. Secondly, adverbs modify nouns and pronouns? No, they don't. They modify what? Let's say them together. Ready? Verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They also answer questions. What questions do adverbs answer? Let's say them together. Ready? Where, when, how often, to what extent, sometimes, why. Those are the 2 most important things for you to remember. But even knowing that can be a little tricky when you have a sentence with 2 types of phrases, right? So that let's go a bit further to see if we can figure out how to tell them apart. So, an adjective phrase, most of the time, will come right after the noun or pronoun that it modifies. Okay, so it'll have a noun or pronoun, and then right after that will be the adjective phrase, most of the time. An adverb phrase that modifies an adjective or an adverb also will come right after the word it modifies. Remember, if an adverb phrase modifies a verb, it can come anywhere in the sentence. In relation to the verb, it can come at the beginning, at the end, in the middle of the sentence, okay? A prepositional phrase, so this is what I had you highlight, at the beginning of a sentence, usually is an adverb phrase that modifies a verb, okay? Remember, if you're having trouble, take different words that are in the sentence and put it before that phrase and see what makes sense. And when you figure that out, then you'll be able to tell what kind of phrase it is, because you'll say, oh, this is the verb that makes sense with it. Well, it modifies a verb, so it has to be an adverb, and it answers an adverb question. So pretty much, let's see. I'm going through here to see. Yes, so if you have difficulty deciding which word a phrase modifies, try the phrase after several words and see which one it most sensibly modifies. That's what we just said. So look at the example down halfway through the box. Olivia placed her books on the shelf. Placed where? Well, on the shelf. If you have difficulty, so here we go. Take the word Olivia on the shelf. Does that make sense? No. What about placed on the shelf? Does that make sense? What about books on the shelf? Does that make sense? Which one makes the best sense in relation to the sentence? Placed where? Placed on the shelf. Okay, so even though books on the shelf in a regular sentence would make sense, but when you look at the sentence it came from, see which one makes the best sense in that sentence. Okay, so let's go back to 241. I know I spent more time than I wanted to reviewing that, but sometimes it can be tricky between adjectives and adverbs. Okay, so let's look at Think A. So we're looking for subjects and verbs. Why don't we go ahead and do that first? We're going to find a verb and the subject first. Then we're going to find our complements. Then we're going to find our phrases. And we put parentheses around the prepositional phrases. So number one, the largest island in a lake is Manitoulin Island in the Canadian section of Lake Huron. First of all, we're going to find a verb, and then we're going to find a subject. So where is the verb in that sentence? All right, remember a verb is an action word, or on the list that we've seen, we've memorized. If you said is, you are correct. Now find the verb, ask who or what before the verb to find the subject. Who or what is? Island is. So underline island once and is twice. Now, let's find complements. Remember how we do that? We say our subject and verb together, and let's ask who or what. Island is whom or what? Is there anything that answers that question? Well, yes, it's Manitoulin Island, okay? Now, is that a direct object or a predicate nominative? We have to look at the kind of verb. Is it action or is it linking? It's linking, so it has to be a predicate nominative, renaming or equaling island. So put PN above Manitoulin Island. Now let's put parentheses around all of our prepositional phrases. So find those. They start with a preposition on the list in the next unit. We've talked about and read them a couple times. So find those. If you put parentheses around in a lake, you are correct. If you put parentheses around in the Canadian section, you are correct. And also of Lake Huron. So we have 3 separate prepositional phrases that we have identified. All right, so now we have to figure out, are they adjective or adverb phrases? All right, so look at the first one, in a lake. In a lake, okay? What is that? Let's ask our questions or try words. Is it largest in a lake? Or is it island in a lake? It's island in a lake. So it modifies the subject, which is a noun. So, which one? In a lake island. So it's an adjective phrase. See how we put the word before it to see. We know adjectives modify nouns. Going on to the next one, in the Canadian section. In the Canadian section. Okay, so let's see what kind of phrase is that? In the Canadian section. Well, let's see. Manitoulin Island in the Canadian section? Yep, it modifies island in the Canadian section. So that would be an adjective phrase because it modifies the noun, the predicate nominative. And then the last one, of Lake Huron. What kind of section? It was the of Lake Huron section. So that also is an adjective phrase. So 3 separate adjective phrases in that sentence. And I'll have to go back and check on in the Canadian section really quick. The book says adjective, but we'll see. But for now, I'll put adjective. All right, number 2. This island has a lake of 41.09 square miles on it. Okay? So find the subject, find the verb. If you underline has, you are correct for your verb. And what is the subject? Island. Very good. Island has whom or what? We're finding complements. It has lake. What kind of complement is that? Based upon your directions, D-O-I-O, P-N, or P-A. Well, it's a direct object because island does not equal lake, it has a lake. Okay, so it's an action verb and it's a direct object. Put parentheses around your prepositional phrases. We have of 41.09 square miles, there's 1, and on it, there's 2. Now, what kind of phrases are they? Let's see. Of 41.09 square miles. Is it has of 41.09 square miles? Nope. It was what kind of lake? It was the lake of 41.09 square miles. So it answers an adjective question, modifies a noun, so it's an adjective phrase. On it. Miles on it? Does that make sense? No. Let's go back to lake on it. Does that make sense? No. What about has on it? Does that sound good together? Yes, and what is has? It's a verb. That means that that phrase is an adverb phrase. Has where? On it. It answers an adverb phrase, an adverb question. Okay, so number 3. We'll do this one together, and then I don't think we're going to have time to do 4 and 5 in class, but you can do it on your own. Manitou Lake, or number 3, I'm sorry. A large lake on an island in a lake is unusual. They got a lot of these adjectives and adverb phrases, don't they? Let's find the subject and verb. And number 3, what's the verb? Is, you got it. And the subject? Lake. Okay, now put parentheses around. Well, first of all, let's find the complement. Lake is whom or what? Unusual. Now, what kind of complement is unusual? Is it a noun? No, it's not a noun. It is an adjective describing the subject. So what does it have to be? A predicate adjective. So put PA above unusual. Now put parentheses around on an island and in a lake. Those are 2 separate prepositional phrases. What kind are they? On an island. A large lake on an island. What kind of island? What kind of lake? It was on an island lake. So it's an adjective phrase modifying the noun lake. All right, what about in a lake? What kind of island? Well, it was in a lake island. So that modifies the OP island. So that also is an adjective phrase. Okay, so do 4 and 5 on your own. And I'll see if I can upload just the answers to those last 2. Let's see. Think A. I'm going to write this down here. Think A. So you can check your answers, okay? So do the last 2 on your own. There's a lot. And see, and then double check it with the link I'm going to put up there and see how well you do, okay? Now, we didn't get to Think B today, but I want you to know that Think B is going to be a quiz. So we didn't get to it on purpose. So in the blank before each sentence, write the part of speech for each underlined word, okay? So in each sentence there is an underlined word. You're going to choose either noun, verb, pronoun, adjective, or adverb, okay? Remembering what each part of speech means, write the answer in the blank, and when you're finished, tear it out. Don't tear it out today because we have to finish the week, but by the end of the week, tear it out and send it in onto your homework folder at school so I can grade it that way. I think I'll get better feedback if I actually have paper copies. The text messages are getting lost somehow. So take this as a quiz today and then turn it in by the next drop-off time. All right? Tomorrow we'll be on page 242, and I'll see you then.